But yeah, really excited to be able to speak at DataHub Town Hall this month. Yeah, thanks for inviting us to speak here. So this June, or I guess going on the end of June, will mark roughly around the 9-month point since we've adopted DataHub here at HashiCorp. So we just wanted to share how that's been going and what the adoption journey has looked like for us. So just real quick, just about us, just who we are. So HashiCorp is the infrastructure cloud company. So we enable practitioners to do cloud right by just providing tools to automate cloud provisioning and management through infrastructure lifecycle management and security lifecycle management. Some of the popular tools are Terraform and Vault. So anything to do with working in cloud, provisioning in cloud, that is what HashiCorp does. And then within HashiCorp, me and Frances, we are part of the enterprise data analytics team that sits within the overall data engineering org. And our analytics team is responsible for enabling our business partners and stakeholders across HashiCorp to get access to the data and analytics platforms that they need. We're the owners for the majority of these tools, which is why having a centralized data catalog was extremely appealing for us. So then just going into our stack a little bit. So we manage ELT through a mix of Fivetran and custom builds, largely through Python. And Snowflake is our primary cloud data warehouse. For transformations and orchestration, we use dbt. And then for analytics and BI, we use Tableau and Sigma. So there's more details on the chart over to the right. I know it's a little bit small, but that's kind of how it all works together for us. And then that brings us to DataHub, which has been a data dictionary solution that we've adopted for handling data governance and data transparency. And then, yeah, just again, as the analytics org, just having this available to us was extremely important. And then, so just wanted to touch upon real quick of why we chose DataHub. Oh, I think the slide must have gotten removed. But essentially, yeah, we're just hoping to have a data dictionary available for us that would be able to just improve data transparency for the organization. Just for different analysts and engineers to just be able to have visibility into what's available at HashiCorp. And specifically for DataHub, what was appealing for us was one, that it was open source, that it was constantly being contributed to. Two, that it had integration with a lot of the primary platforms that we're using, as well as just the good reputation it had out there during that time before, as Shashanka mentioned, before the explosion.
Hey, Nathan?
Hello?
Go ahead to the next slide. Go to
Okay.
the next slide. Yep, go to the next slide.
Okay.
It should be, all right.
Okay. No, yeah. So this was the slide I was mentioning, but yeah, just the reputation of DataHub amidst the many catalog options out there. That was one of the big benefits for us. And then, so yeah, just continuing to go into how DataHub was beneficial for us. So one of the main challenges that we saw at HashiCorp was as a new analyst, it's difficult to understand what data and analytics are available and who owns them. That's kind of the title of, I guess, our talk here for HashiCorp. Yeah, this was from personal experience as well. But yeah, there was just some difficulty in just being able to understand the data analytics that were available across the organization. For me to just come in and just understand this team is in charge of this segment of analytics versus this team is in charge of this. A lot of those would have to come through ad hoc conversations, and there was often the documentation for this the data and analytics were in disparate locations. So we wanted to just address this problem through having a centralized data catalog through DataHub. Yeah, so just here are the points again. Just visibility was limited for the data sources and analytics available. And then there was often just a lot of time spent just raising different questions and going to different rabbit holes of just trying to understand the data and analytics that was available once you did find something that was there. So then this was the challenge that we're hoping to address. And this was kind of the lens that we took as we were implementing DataHub. Okay, yeah, so we touched upon this slide already. So then in terms of the implementation itself, pretty basic, but we just wanted to make sure that for the primary platforms that we had, that we were able to get that within DataHub. So we were pleased to find that Tableau, dbt, and Snowflake were already there when we first started looking into DataHub. And since then, since we've adopted DataHub, we're really pleased to see DataHub working to include 5chan as well as Sigma into there as well. So then this is really big for us, just being able to have a wholesale view of the data landscape here at HashiCorp was really beneficial for us just from a basic data catalog standpoint. And then so the next area that we hope to address through DataHub was this whole aspect of ownership. So here's just a funny GIF that's kind of relatable, just pointing to who owns what. Yeah, but anyways, so from the get-go, the way that we addressed this was we went to go and define what ownership meant and what different types of ownership there were. So this isn't necessarily specific to DataHub, but this was really important for us as we were implementing it. So who is responsible for business logic? Who is responsible for the ingestion of data set? These were the types of questions that we sought to address by assigning proper ownership for analytics and data across the org. And then next, through DataHub, we made sure to just document everything. Who is the proper owner for this subset of data? Who is the proper owner for this actual piece of analytics? And then through that process, we wanted to save time by doing so by implementing transformers for a lot of the different data that we're using. And by tackling ownership this way, we've been able to streamline the experience of an analyst, trying to just look out to see who the right person is in order to ask these different types of questions. If we just refer to the previous challenge, yeah. And then relatedly, documentation. So similarly with ownership, we wanted to have the right people to ask and reduce time spent on trying to go through a lot of those Slack conversations, email chains, etc. But then we also wanted to save time for an onboarding analyst by just providing self-service documentation. So we were really pleased that there was an existing integration with DBT docs. So whatever documentation was already generated through DBT would automatically materialize within DataHub, as well as during the course of just developing DataHub for our org, starting to leverage the Python SDK to write programmatic updates to other non-DBT data assets within DataHub. So these are just some of the ways that we've been trying to provide centralize and provide more documentation to the analysts and stakeholders across the organization so that someone with a question would just be able to hop in and just get those questions answered right from the get-go. And then just summarizing some of the impact that we've experienced since implementing DataHub. So just for us, our analytics and data engineering teams, just previously before implementing DataHub, we received a lot of questions. It's kind of, again, some personal experience, but yeah, just receiving a lot of different inquiries about data, needing to reach out to who we thought were the owners, only to be redirected and playing a long game of telephone. And since implementing DataHub, we've mostly found that we don't experience this challenge anymore. A lot of these ad hoc inquiries are down to maybe one at most per day. In terms of documentation, rather than having it in disparate locations and people often searching and asking questions to see where documentation lies, we've had DataHub as a central hub for documentation and for analysts to just look and see what the change log is for this data set. How should I use it? What are the common queries for it? And that's been a big boon for the different analysts and stakeholders across the org. And then again, yeah, just being able to, actually, sorry, this one is a new piece, but this is almost kind of tangential, but we found that it's been extremely helpful. But the presence of lineage has actually enabled our developers to be able to understand their audience as well. So if they want to make a change to the data set, they know who their downstream stakeholders are and who to notify because of the analytics that'll be impacted. And that's actually, and from a governance standpoint, been a huge boon for us as well. I know it's kind of tangential to the whole onboarding analyst piece, but this has also been a pretty big impact for us that we experienced here at HashiCorp as well. So just overall, just summarizing it, we just experienced a streamlining of data discovery across the business, both from the analyst standpoint and just trying to understand the data analytics available, but as well as from the developer and administrative perspective of just being able to see from a governance perspective of what's there, who's impacted by this data, et cetera. And then, yeah, just nowhere on time. So here are just a couple next steps. One big thing I wanted to highlight is the enablement piece. So we rolled out DataHub last fall. So it's been around 9 months now. And we've been able to disseminate it out to some of our more technical stakeholders. But one of the big next steps for us is just trying to make that the default platform for default data catalog platform for new employees. As everybody, as we just try to become a more data-driven organization, needs data, needs to understand what data is available. So just working to just bridge the gap between the technical and business holders, to make this something that will be useful for them. And then there's some pieces around security and governance and automation, but for the sake of time, won't get into that too much. And yeah, just some takeaways and just our personal wish list here at HashiCorp. A big one is, again, enablement, just making sure that we understand our audience as we develop and roll out the tool. I think there are just different ways that we could have done this a little bit better to make the adoption more widespread from the get-go. But yeah, big part of that is just understanding who our stakeholders are. And then another takeaway was just learning to lean on the DataHub community a lot. I wish I had known this before, understanding how active the DataHub community was. And since learning about that has been extremely helpful. And then, yeah, just a couple of just wish list items of just development in the future. Just continued development of integrations, as well as just platform updates. Yeah, just for the sake of time, I won't get too much into that. But yeah, that's how we've adopted DataHub here at HashiCorp to just try to empower our analysts to self-service data discovery. Yeah, we're looking forward to just continuing to grow it across the business.